Good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday, the 8th of February, 2023. I come back to you again live from this microphone and from the top of my head. Nothing really happened yesterday. Nothing interesting. I had a rest day. I was up until midnight prepping food for the next couple of days because Mads and I decided just to get cheeky Maccas, which I'm going to punish myself for today in my run. I don't know if I want to go for a run though because my legs are still a little bit sore from my leg workout, so maybe I'll leave running till tomorrow. I can still get up to the gym and do like a back day or something because I'm not too sore in the top half, but my legs might need another day of recovery. But I'll decide. You'll find out tomorrow morning, I guess, whether that's the case or not. But nothing else really has happened. I haven't really done much. I haven't really thought about much. We had a conversation last night. Actually, maybe I'll just talk about this. We had a conversation last night, Mads and I, about talking kinder to each other. I feel like sometimes Mads holds on to the person that I have been in the past, which is not necessarily who I am now. And so, a young man going through all the different changes and all the different, I don't know, a young person in general. Actually, I'm not even going to say young man. From my perspective, obviously that's who I am. I'm a young man, but to go through life, especially in your like late teens, early 20s, and I'm now in my fucking mid to late 20s. How cringe is that? Not cringe, but like I thought I'd be old by this point, and I still feel so young. If you had told me at 15 that 27, I would have been like, 27's old. No, I'm a fucking baby still. But the talking kind of to each other. In the past, I've had lapse to judgments, and I've spoken in a way, or I've said things, or I've reacted harshly, and you know what I mean. And I think that sometimes Mads holds on to that version of me and doesn't look at the present version of me. And so she reacts to things that haven't happened yet before they have a chance to happen. And then when I get upset at the reaction, she says, well, you behave like that. And it's like, well, not anymore. You know what I mean? Like I did, fair, we can cop that. But, reacting preemptively to something is an action, right? Like, if you were to react to something you think is going to happen, you're just acting. You're not reacting, right? Because a reaction is something that happens after the fact. So we had a pretty big dialogue about it last night, and I think it was positive. I think it came out the other end positive. I think on that note, though, a lot of people get into relationships and they forget that there's bad times too, you know what I mean? Like there's good times and there's bad times. It's about working through them together. I know a lot of friends, and I've seen a lot of relationships sort of, break down over time, and a big part of it is that they just keep lying to each other. And lying to each other is in like, not necessarily like, I didn't do this, I didn't do that, but like, oh no, it's okay. That's just as much of a lie. So, for example, if I don't know, let's say Mads had like some chess pieces laid out in a certain formation and I moved one of them and she said, did you move this? And I said, no, I didn't move that. That's lying, right? But there's also the lie where I turn around, let's say it was something that she was really upset about. I said, yeah, I did. I'm sorry. And then she says, no, that's okay. That's also a lie, right? That's okay, especially if she's not okay about it. And so I think that couples, not other couples, us specifically, our relationship, is growing every year. You know, who I was when I met Mads, who she was when she met me, and who we are now are different people. And we've been on this journey together, where we've both been allowed to be different people at the same time. In fact, right now, I would say we're different people at the same time, you know. There's, obviously there's the gender gap. She's a lady and I'm a man. There's the age gap. I'm 27, she's only 24. And it's not much of an age gap, but like, there is a difference. And when you get to, if you are, 24 now, when you get to 27, you won't be the same person. And if you are the same person, I'm sorry. But, there's this weird thing where there's 3 extra years of adulthood that I've got, of like 3 extra years of like, I don't know, perspective, understanding, difference. And you don't think that 3 years would make a difference, right? But like, between 5 and 8, you're still a kid. You're still in that stage. But think about like 18 to 21. There's a difference at 21 for most people than there is at 18. So I think that relationships are tricky because you've got to spend time working on those things and working on those differences. I hear these fucking cringy stories about people, like the boy goes and gets the engagement ring and wants to propose, but they've never had a conversation about proposing. Never, not once. And or they propose and they get married and then they're like, okay, what do you want to do about kids? And then, the partner wants 4 kids and he doesn't want any. And then all of a sudden you got this really awkward situation where someone has to make a sacrifice, because it's not a compromise at that point. It's like, you want to live your life a certain way. They want to live their life a certain way. And there's micro sacrifices, right? Like, you want to have chicken for dinner and instead you get beef. Like, that's a sacrifice you got to make for the happiness of your partner, right? But big life events, like how many kids you want to have, where you want to live, career drives, family events, stuff like that. I think people forget you marry into the family. When you start dating someone, you're either gonna get married or you're gonna break up. And so there's other elements to it, because you got that some people just want that exclusivity. They're just fucking around for a little bit, but they don't like the idea of that person fucking around with other people. And so they date for a little bit. But like, I feel like things like that are just mutually agreed upon. But the relationships that I see break down the most are the ones that don't communicate their feelings truly, right? I could have been upset at the way that Mads was speaking to me last night. But I also have to accept, I could just sit there and be like, no, you don't get to speak to me like that, blah, blah, blah. But then if she came back and told me that I used to speak to her like that, or I speak to her like that sometimes, that was the words she used, I speak to her like that sometimes. And I don't believe I do anymore, but I have to still acknowledge the fact that I did at one point, right? You can't be like, oh, I don't do that anymore. I think about, that's probably a harsh term and there's a trigger warning here, but think about I don't know, let's just say Cardinal Pell, right? I don't touch kids anymore, but the fact that you did is fucked up. The fact that you're still in that position is fucked up, right? So that's a really bad example, but it still rings true. Just because I'm not the person I once was doesn't mean that I wasn't that person at one point. And I'm not going to sit here and judge that person, right? I'm not going to sit here and make excuses for that person, but I'm a different person now, right? And actions speak louder than words. And so when I'm sitting here and I'm remaining calm and I'm having a calm conversation and I'm just trying to get words out and have a dialogue, then it needs to be matched on the other side for who I am now, not who I was once. And I think that's such an important thing. The ability to communicate, but the ability to stay present, right? Because if I sat here and I missed first and foremost, it's creepy. I got with Maddie when I was 17, so I was 10. Well, when she was 17. So that's I mean, that's kind of gross if I was to sit here and be like, oh, I miss who you used to be. Because, like, who you used to be was a child. Like, let's not fucking play around like that, right? Who I used to be was a child too. But, yeah. Anyway, we got together. She was 17, I think a couple months out from being 18. And I was 20. And so it already felt weird for me. But it was like you know, like, I don't know, we're married now. So it's like, it can't have been too weird. But anyway, the point is that communication and dialogue and being open, right? Your partner's meant to be someone that you can be open and vulnerable with. They're meant to be someone that you can talk to about anything, who sees you at your best and at your worst and still accepts you for who you are, right? And so if you can't do that and you're having a bad time, and that could also be on you. Maybe you can't open up to your partner the way that they can open up to you. Maybe you won't let your partner open up as much because it hurts too much, because then you have to look at yourself and look at your own behaviors. Or maybe you just don't think that deeply about it, right? And which is just as bad, because human beings are like strangely complex people. And the tone of your voice can make someone feel a certain way. The way that you stand, the way that you react, the way that you interact with other people. So many different things about you that your partner watches and sees and notices. And you know what I mean? Like they're all little micro things, but I think people get stuck. But I think if you don't have dialogue and you're not accepting of the change that you and your partner are making mutually, it's just doomed. It's doomed from the beginning. You have to, I have to accept Maddie for who she is now and who she has been every other moment in our relationship. And I have to understand that she will be other people through our relationship as perspectives shift, as growth happens, as trauma and pain happen. They make you more resilient. You come out the other side of that. You can't be the same person, right? There's just this innate understanding built into our relationship that who we are now is not who we will be. And you've got an opportunity. Mads has an opportunity to shape me in a way, not to serve her own purpose of like having a partner who does whatever she says and is whoever she wants him to be, right? But in the way of like, if I'm behaving in a certain way that is causing her stress, then that behavior needs to change for the longevity of the relationship, right? Now, that doesn't mean that she needs to change me. She just needs to help me understand that behavior isn't okay. And it's my choice. Do I continue that behavior and keep upsetting her? Or do I change that behavior to become a better partner for my wife, right? And I think a lot of the time, it's so easy to get offended. It's so easy to be like, oh, fuck you. I didn't mean it like that. You're taking it the wrong way, But how fair is that of an argument to, you think about it like a girl in a nightclub gets hit on. And then the guy gets rejected and he's like, ugh, who do you think you are? I was only joking when I said that's cringy, right? It's a cringy response. So think about that in terms of my relationship, or I think about that, in terms of my relationship. It wouldn't be raised if it wasn't an issue, right? And if I turn around and dismiss it, be like, oh, you're just perceiving it wrong. You're just thinking about it in the wrong way. Okay, well, I'm not really creating any solutions there, am I? I'm just giving more reasoning, more examples of why this person shouldn't be with me anymore, because I'm not willing to listen or compromise, right? But secondly, I'm not taking on board what this person's saying. And if I'm not taking on board what this person's saying, why am I not doing that? Is it because I don't trust the opinion? Is it because I don't believe that? Or is it because I don't want to look at my behavior and try and fix that and change that, right? And so it's interesting. But I feel like that, without being too direct about, what the conversation was about necessarily, it was just we there was like a rushedness to how she was speaking to me. I don't know if that's a word, rushedness. Like it was quick, right? We were in a rush, and in that, I guess that sensation, in that feeling, was not necessarily a slip of the tongue, but it was like a very judgmental, like there was an expectation set that I didn't know about, right? And that I hadn't fulfilled. And so I said, hey, you don't have to speak to me like that. And then her response was, well, you speak to me like that. And my first reaction is, fuck you, no, I don't. And then my second reaction is, anymore, right? Because I have done that in the past. And so it helped me link a behavior that I didn't like to a behavior that I was witnessing in her. And then we had this discussion about how when I've behaved like that in the past, it's because I'm a bad person, right? It's because I'm a conflicted person. It's because I'm doing that behavior of my own volition. For you to be doing that behavior because I've done that behavior, that's toxic. That's not a good behavior. That's not a good trait to have, right? Just replicating what someone else does. Because if you just keep doing the bad things that people do to you, that makes you a bad person. And if you don't like that behavior from the beginning, why would you then go and do that behavior? If you've told me not to behave like that, and then you go and behave like that, what sort of example is that setting? What sort of message is that setting? And so we had this whole dialogue about that, and we had this really long conversation about it. But I think there's a really important part about all that, which is the resolution is that we both agree that the behavior wasn't good from either end. And so that behavior in the past, I need to acknowledge that, and then we can move on from that, right? Otherwise, if I said, no, I didn't ever behave like that, but you're behaving like this now, and that's the problem. And well, no, the problem is that she's behaving like this because I used to behave like this. And if I really mean that I used to behave like that, that means I can never do it again, right? Or at least I have to pull myself up on it quickly and build that resilience, I don't really know what else to say. I think that was pretty much it. I just think that I wish you all well. I feel it's weird saying that because I feel like it's meant to be a journal for me. But at the same time, I know that I'm uploading them somewhere. So it's like I want to talk to myself about it, but I need to be able to open that up and talk to other people about it. And so I think the advice that I have for myself here is remember that nothing is more important to you and to your relationship than communicating openly and being accepting of the person that you are, the person that you have been, and the person that you are yet to become, and staying present for that entire journey. Because I know that I would be very upset if anything happened to Mads and I didn't appreciate every moment of her. Yeah.